It's 7 o'clock and our producer is ready for us to get started. So I think we're on the air. Welcome everyone here in our council chamber and those that are watching from home. Kind of once we get past the Labor Day weekend, it kind of really everybody's mindset changes. Sadly, feels like summer's behind us, but we're back with our noses to the grindstone, and our first meeting here in September happens to be a Tuesday due to the long weekend, September the 7th. So without further ado, we can get underway with the first item of business, Madam Clerk.
Roll call, Your Worship. I've taken the roll and all members of council are present.
Very good, thank you. Next item, please.
Motion to adopt this evening's agenda.
Moved by Councillor Cullen, seconded by Councillor Parker. Any changes or additions? Seeing none, call for the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Next item, please.
Confirmation of the minutes of the special meeting of council held June 21st.
Mover, please. Moved by Councillor Lupke, seconded by Councillor Cameron. This was a special meeting to do with a land purchase. Any errors or omissions or changes? And seeing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And next item, please.
Adoption of the minutes of the special meeting held August 16th.
Moved by Councillor Chaboyer, seconded by Councillor Parker. And this was a special meeting to do with the land purchase transaction. Any changes or errors? And seeing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Next item, please.
Confirmation of the minutes of the August 16th regular council meeting.
Moved by Councillor Cameron, seconded by Councillor Frangie. And any errors or omissions? Seeing none, calling for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Again, that is carried. And one more, please.
And confirmation of the minutes of the special meeting held August 18th.
Moved by Councillor Chaboyer, seconded by Councillor Lupke. Any errors or omissions? Again, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. A lot of minutes. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Under the order of presentations, Your Worship, we have Mr. Perry Rock, Director of Parks and Recreation Services, to give us an update on the Manitoba 150 celebrations.
Very good. Come on ahead. Welcome, Mr. Rock.
Good evening, Your Worship, Council, and the viewing public. My name is Perry Rock, and I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation Services for the City of Brandon, and it's my pleasure to be here this evening to present to you Manitoba 150 celebration. We've been waiting a year for this, so it's finally here. We're able to tell you some of the things that we have happening within the city. So the City of Brandon Recreation Services Department, in conjunction with our event partners and sponsors, are excited to bring you a week-long weighted event for Manitoba 150 celebrations. One of the things we want to tell people about is if they want more information, they can sign up for notifications or visit brandon.ca/Manitoba 150. You can visit manitoba150.com for even more chances to celebrate throughout the province. As Manitoba reflects on 150 years as a province, it's the opportunity to come together in spirit. People can share their stories, how we built a strong, connected province together with the people of this land. Note, the current public health orders allow us to have drive-in and outdoor non-ticketed events of under 500 people. Should any public health orders change prior to the event, we plan to make adjustments to our events to meet those health orders. September 18th, the Riverbank Discovery Centre and Brandon area car enthusiasts are partnering to deliver a pop-up musical performance, a Made in Manitoba farmers market, Celebrate 150 car show, and you can visit the Riverbank on Facebook for updates. There'll also be on September 19th a free pancake breakfast from 8:30 in the morning till 10:30 while supplies last at the Keystone grounds. And that will be another drive-through event. Pop-up concerts throughout the city of Brandon. We're thrilled to offer the opportunity for people to have the pop-up concerts throughout the city, and we'll be announcing the performances as they come up throughout various locations around the city, featuring local talent from Brandon and from the Westman region. Watch for these events to be posted on our website and Facebook page. We'll be hosting them in green spaces throughout the city of Brandon. We also, September 19th to the 25th, you can try your hand at a series of scavenger hunts throughout the community. You'll discover some of Brandon's and Manitoba's past, explore new areas in the city while earning points for some great Manitoba prizes. We have scavenger hunts designed for all ages and skills. Entry is free. Sign up for notifications at brandon.ca/Manitoba150 and watch for our QR code around the city. The week-long scavenger hunt will have a trivia hunt, and we'll also have a family trivia event, so families can go out and do that together. September 25th wraps up the 150 week. You can join us for a drive-in of entertainment at the Keystone grounds. Emma Peterson is the 2019 Emerging Artist of the Year for Manitoba Country Music Associations and performs before dusk. At dusk, you can take in a drive-in movie doubleheader. Both titles have ties to Manitoba and are in a first-come, first-serve basis. Join us for both and stay for just one. The Journey Home is rated PG, and Wait for the Planet of the Apes is rated PG. We would also like to recognize the sponsors and the partners who have made this possible for us to celebrate Manitoba within our community. So these are a list of our sponsors that we have here in Brandon participating with us. We want to remind people the week is September 18th through the 25th, and our website is brandon.ca/Manitoba150. If they want more information, they can go to our site. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Perry. A good summary of a lot of great activities. Finally getting to celebrate Manitoba 150 here in our community. There certainly have been variety of things throughout the province and even here in Brandon, but this will certainly cap it off as we kind of head into the fall. So I'm sure you'd answer some questions if any member of council had them, although your presentation was quite thorough, but we always open up the floor if there's questions. Councillor Lupke.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Mr. Rock. Perry, I know it was mentioned in a couple of spots about that event being free, but is there any charge for any of these events during the Manitoba 150 week in Brandon?
Not that I'm aware of. I believe it's all been funded through the province of Manitoba 150.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lupke. I realize that we had a connection to the War of the Planet of the Apes. It reminds me maybe of a municipal election here in Brandon, but such as it is, we'll have to check that out. Okay, I think you've got it all covered, so thank you very much, Mr. Rock, and we look forward to these events coming up later in the month.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship.
Very good. A motion to receive would be in order, please. Councillor Lupke.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the presentation by Perry Rock, Director of Parks and Recreation Services, with respect to an update on the planned Manitoba 150 celebrations be received.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Cullen. Mover wish to speak?
No, Your Worship.
Any other member of council? Seeing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Next item, please.
Under the order of public hearings, Your Worship, we have a hearing regarding bylaw number 7314, which is the closure of a portion of 13th Street North located north of Stickney Avenue.
Thank you very much. Now, under our COVID precautions, we have to limit the amount of people that can attend in the council chamber. So people for the public hearings we've been having lately have been asked to pre-register, and then we make arrangements to have them come in. So I'm not aware if we had anybody register for this particular hearing.
No, Your Worship, I'm not aware of anybody.
So saying that, we're not likely going to have any presentations. So a motion to conclude the hearing would be in order, please. And is that, where is this? Stickney, is that Councillor Desjardins? Go ahead.
Your Worship, I move that the public hearing to close and convey a portion of 13th Street North located north of Stickney Avenue be concluded.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Cameron. Any discussion? We'll be dealing with this a little later on. Call for the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Next item, please.
The order of committee reports, Your Worship.
And I don't believe we had any committee reports presented. Sometimes there are verbal reports that have arisen since our last meeting. If there are any, we would take them now. And not seeing any, so we can move on to the next item, please.
The order of inquiries, Your Worship.
Inquiries, I believe we have one from Councillor Frangie. You want to go ahead?
Thank you, Your Worship. A resident writes, when will the city build a sidewalk along Van Horn Avenue? We have not heard anything since the last survey done about a year ago. Speeding concerns continue to be a problem in the area, with no proper stop signs in place. Area in question is from the intersection of Van Horn Avenue and 26th Street down to 21st Street.
Thank you very much. So our acting city manager, Patrick Pulak, I believe does have a response for us to get the matter started.
I do. This response is provided by Mark Aller, Director of Engineering Services. This matter has been investigated somewhat by the engineering department, but discussion within the department is suggesting further investigation is required. We propose to take these under advisement at this time with a report to council expected in late September.
Fair enough, thank you.
Very much, Councillor Frangie. And that was the only inquiry we had in advance. Sometimes they arise late breaking news. So, Councillor Schwoye, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. This inquiry is probably goes towards yourself, Your Worship, and to City Administration. Can City Council meet in the near future, maybe this fall, to review the existing naming policy, specifically looking at streets, roads, and trails? I know it keeps coming up, and we never have a real robust discussion on what the guidelines are to reflect an inclusive community. I think it's timely that we have this discussion, and remember we had a very thoughtful, insightful presentation from Jane Neal, who pointed out to this council about where are the women. And when I look at not only women, but inclusivity in the city, and are we really reflecting on our total heritage and our people and our population? So I think it's time that we should have a look at it. And what mainly concerns me too also, it seems like we're just getting presentations and recommendations from developers on their new subdivisions, which is great. And I know that now we're dealing with one around, the Wheat Kings, and I love the Wheaties. There's no problem with that. But maybe a portion of subdivisions could be devoted to having a few streets named after people that are important in the heritage of our community. So anyways, I think it would warrant a discussion with council, for your consideration, and we'll move from there.
Thank you very much. And I did receive an email to that effect myself. You might have received a similar email. I did provide a response that I did believe it was of significant interest to council. In fact, with my previous time on council, we did actually have a street naming committee of council, and then it was not a terribly active committee, and it was found that, the developers in conjunction with planning, were creating subdivisions, with kind of a theme name, like it might be after a bunch of different kinds of trees or a bunch of different kinds of animals and so on and so forth, or is it the one coming up tonight, kind of themed after Wheat Kings. And so that committee got disbanded, and but I think that there's been a more significant interest, as there's a presentation about, not as many women's names. Council has discussed connections to First Nations that we don't have a plentiful footprint in our community. So I agree with you. It's time that we revisited that. So I'll speak to the city manager. He actually has some ideas about some meetings between he and senior administration and council about sort of various topics, or any topics that council wants to advance. So this would certainly fit perfectly into that plan. So
Thanks
very
Your
much.
Worship.
Any other inquiries that may have come up? Okay, not seeing any more. We can move on to the next item, please.
The order of announcements, Your Worship.
Announcements. Councillor Desjardins.
Thank you, through your worship. I just want to give people on notice that in a few weeks' time, from September 27th to October 1st, we will be celebrating Reconciliation Week in Brandon. As most city residents are aware, the federal government moved forward with a proposed statutory holiday on Orange Shirt Day, which is great in many respects, but that was a day where we could really demonstrate our support for reconciliation, and so we want to ensure that that happens by supporting different events and activities throughout the week, rather than just on the day where nobody will be, or less people will be at work and there won't be as many students at school. So please just stay in the know for the next little while, stay up to date on the news, and I'm sure there'll be more coming out from City Council, but there will be a march to the residential school site on Truth and Reconciliation Day. There will be a Kairos blanket exercise being offered in the morning. There will be some music and celebration happening on Truth and Reconciliation Day, but also events running through the week, including a pipe ceremony on Monday morning to kick things off. Also a ceremonial fire, a TP challenge on Monday afternoon, and then all the Brandon Urban Aboriginal Peoples Council partners and affiliates will be supporting the week with their own events and activities, and a lot of this will be available for the general public. So I hope everyone takes an opportunity to learn a bit more about what they can do to support reconciliation, that they take this as a learning opportunity, and they demonstrate support for those children that never made it home, and a future together in solidarity. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Desjardins, and it is good to give people a heads up on that and to stay tuned. I know that Brandon Urban Aboriginal Peoples Council, of which Councillor Desjardins and Councillor Fawcett are on the board of, are working really hard. It's kind of short notice that this new day was pronounced by the federal government, but the BUPAC is working really hard, in my opinion, to pull together some very meaningful events. So stay tuned on that, and we'll hear more about that, for that particular week. I think it's going to be great. I think Brandon, will help to kind of lead the way on this particular, new commemoration. So great to hear, and we look forward to that. And other announcements. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to send a congratulations actually out to the Provincial Exhibition of Manitoba for their successful hosting of Midway Madness this past week. I had an opportunity to attend it with my family, and by all accounts it was really well run, and it was just great to have an opportunity again to see events happen in the community, and also have the ability to attend events that were en masse, well received and positive. So just a quick congratulations to the Provincial Ex for their work on that.
Well put. Thank you very much. Any other announcements? Okay, I think we've got them covered then. Thank you all. On to the next item, please.
Under the order of general business, Your Worship, a proposed street name for one of these streets in the Bellafield subdivision, and it will be known as Dietrich Bay is what's being proposed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the proposed street name of Dietrich Bay submitted by VBJ Developments Limited for their development of the area known as Bellafield at 1901 and 1955 34th Street, located south of Maryland Avenue and east of 34th Street in the southwest corridor of 101019 be approved and added to the street names registry.
Seconder, please. Councillor Parker. Mover wish to speak?
Yes, Your Worship. There's quite a bio written along with the motion here that was submitted, but I'm not going to go through the whole bio. I had the opportunity of knowing Don since I was 11 years old. I played hockey against him all through minor hockey when he was in Deloraine and I was in Brandon. And I kind of got to know him as a youngster through then and watched him come up and join the Wheat Kings in the 78-79 season, where Don, as a young 17-year-old defenseman, joined one of the best junior teams you've ever seen in Canada and went on to the Memorial Cup that year and continued to play with the Wheat Kings a couple years after that before he was drafted by Chicago. Don, through his career, played 10 years through the NHL, AHL, and in Europe. And unfortunately, just due to health problems, Don was forced to retire at a very young age. This was a man who, through his adult life, battled cancer twice and Parkinson's disease throughout most of his adult life from 30 on, and never, ever once felt pity or sorry for himself. Instead, he went back to his hometown, gave back to the community, started a breakfast program for kids to come out and play and learn to play hockey before school started on his own time. Continued to give back to the community, was a mentor for coaches through Hockey Manitoba throughout those years that he was involved, and always just a cheery guy. I always would run into Don the occasion in Brandon, and he would always stop and have a chat. Even after all the years that he was away in that, we just kind of, he was one of those guys that would always have a smile on his face, always stop and have a chat with you, and just a generally good human being all around. He left us way too young, but I think even though he wasn't a Brandon boy, Don's legacy in Westman is well known, and I know the short time that he was in Brandon here, he is very well respected. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Thank you very much, and that was certainly well covered, Councillor Barry. I'm sure there were a number of people in the room that did know Don Dietrich, but you really covered it well. I knew him myself, and he did an excellent job of summarizing that. And, you know, I might add, I think the issue, notwithstanding the conversation we had a few minutes ago, initiated by Councillor Chaboyer about revisiting our renaming this particular development area, was designed to commemorate past Wheat Kings from the, you know, kind of Brandon and area. You notice not all of them are from precisely Brandon, like the Chipperfield Drive in there somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, who is not specifically from Brandon, but from Westman. So Mr. Dietrich would be kind of in a similar category. So further discussion on the part of any member of council? Councillor Parker.
Just briefly, I would echo what Councillor Barry said. There's not a better recipient after them in Western Manitoba than Don. His best work was in the community. He was pretty good doing this. We honor a Westman resident in the city.
And well put. Any other discussion? I'll just maybe double check to Mr. Nicola. You didn't have anything yet need to add or anything like that on this one? Okay. The report's quite fulsome, so I think it's well covered. So I don't believe we've got any further discussion, so I think we're ready for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
The tender for the contract C2 paving works.
Barry, go ahead.
Yes, Your Worship, I think I'll have to sit out on this one. There might be perceived conflict of interest as my boss is a partner in Zenith Contracting, who is one of the tenders in this project.
Thank you. The record will show that Councillor Barry did recuse himself from this matter. So coming back to the matter, again, somebody would like to make that motion? Councillor Parker, go ahead.
It moved that the low bid submitted by Zenith Paving Limited to carry out 2021 contract C2 paving works as per tender and specifications at a cost of $356,904.81 net of GST be accepted, and further that $35,000 be authorized to be expended from the Airport Improvement Reserve and $15,000 to be authorized from the Civic Services Complex Reserve.
Seconder, please. Councillor Cullen. Now we can have a discussion on this, and just for council's information, of course, the acting city manager would be fairly well versed on this one, but we do have other staff online through Teams. If there are questions, then I think one of the contract managers is on the line as well. So if there are questions, again, it's fairly straightforward. 2 bids, and this is the low bid. Any discussion or any questions anybody would like to ask? Not seeing any. I think, is everybody ready for the question then? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. And thank you to Mr. Winters for being on the line. I presume he's on for that reason. Welcome back, Councillor Barry. And next item, please.
Is the establishment of a downtown wellness and safety task force.
And who would like to advance this motion? Councillor Jarley, feel free.
Thank you, through your worship. I move that the Downtown Wellness and Safety Task Force be established to make recommendations to City Council on a holistic and balanced approach to improving downtown safety, business economy, and people's wellness as per the terms of reference dated August 2021.
And seconder, please. Councillor Lupke. I'm not sure if that was it supposed to say terms of dated August 31st?
Oh, I did.
Just August?
Just August.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Sure we got this accurate. Sorry, mover wish to speak?
Good, Your Worship. I wasn't sure if anybody from administration was planning on introducing this, or is this more of a City Council driven discussion?
Well, kind of both, but I think we can lead it off, and then we can have the blanks filled in if there are any left.
Sure. So, as I'm sure most residents are aware, and certainly the business community and residents in the downtown, and those that are in providing frontline services to the downtown, that things have been challenging during the pandemic, and we're a microcosm of what's been going on nationally. Even in North America, where there have been some great difficulties for folks on the fringes, and those who were already marginalized were at higher risk of disruption, and so that's been something that we've been grappling with. And we, as the downtown councilor, I've fielded, too many calls to mention, over the last 18 months regarding the safety of the downtown, regarding vandalism, graffiti, challenges with the economy, challenges with the environment, just the overall state of the downtown, and we need to turn a corner. And so for several months, we've tasked administration with putting together a terms of reference for a safety task force that would be looking at a holistic approach to the downtown, not just with crime and punishment, but the overall health of the downtown. That includes the health of the people that need it the most, as well as the health of the economy. And so looking at the business side of things as well, and then general cleanliness and upkeep of the downtown. So we've put together a strong terms of reference recommending that we have representation from residents, from the business community, from those who offer services to people in the downtown, members of City Council, and this task force will be tasked, if you will, to making recommendations to the City Council, budget recommendations and strategic planning recommendations to ensure that our downtown is safe, is viable, and addressing the needs of our community. And maybe if somebody from the city would like to dive in a bit further, that'd be wonderful.
Well, for starters, you did a fabulous job. So that was as succinct and well-rounded presentation as I would ever ask for. So well done there. Some will know that this did get kicked off in the Mayor's State of the City address, I think in May. Again, as Councillor Desjarlais did indicate, City Council is certainly well aware of the challenges in many parts of our city, but it's kind of concentrated in downtown. So this is certainly a response, and we're grateful for our city manager and our manager of legislative services, which is also our city clerk, for putting together this terms of reference. And this won't be just a kind of overnight fix. On the other hand, I think every member of council are hoping this isn't going to be kind of a royal commission where it's going to take years and years to figure this out. And we're hopeful that we'll get some very engaged individuals in our community coming forward to kind of pitch in on this and join this task force and make recommendations back to council that we can help to improve it. So I'm not sure, Heather, if you had anything that you wanted to add. You're the author of most of the actual terms of reference, and we're grateful for that.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just note, as far as if people are interested in getting involved with the task force, we will be advertising in the paper, but there are applications available through our office, through the City Clerk's office on the second floor at the Civic Administration Building, that you're certainly welcome, and we will be forwarding them out to all of councillors. So if you have interested members, you'll have an opportunity to pass that along. We're looking at, we'd like to get things rolling as quickly as possible, but we also have to keep in mind that people are just getting back from holidays and summer vacations. So ideally, we would like to take these appointments no later than the first meeting in October, but if we can get interested persons in, the sooner the better, then we can have a chance to sort through them and see where we are missing gaps within the stakeholder groups that we have identified, and move forward from there.
Thank you very much. And again, council knows this, but we would also encourage members of council to provide, suggestions, in the terms of reference that we're looking for a representative from the nonprofit sector, as Councillor Desjarlais described them as those providing services, a member of the downtown business community, member of the Indigenous community, Prairie Mountain Health, again, that are integral to that area, commercial property owner, developer, 3 citizens at large, and 2 members of City Council. So it'll be hopefully a well-rounded task force, and we will be very happy for the suggestions coming forth. So let's open it up for discussion. Again, thank you, Councillor Desjarlais, for making the motion and providing an excellent summary of that, and we'll open it up for discussion or questions. Council certainly has had a couple of sessions in discussion on this, because I think every member of council are interested in committing to finding a good maiden brand and solution to some of the challenges that we've been facing. Okay, I think we're pretty well covered. Again, we've had copious discussions on this in the past, so I think we're probably ready for the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, and we certainly look forward to the work of this task force. And next item, please.
Under the order of bylaws, Your Worship, bylaw number 7309, which is amendment to the animal control bylaw regarding impound regulations.
Councillor Lupke.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that bylaw number 7309 to amend animal control bylaw number 5900 with respect to impound regulations be read a second time.
Seconder, please. Councillor Desjarlais. Mover wish to speak?
Yes, Your Worship. This actually goes back to a notice of motion I gave in February of 2020, and it did get delayed a little bit with bylaw enforcement at Brandon Police Service being tied up with a number of other things during the start of the pandemic and beyond. So this is actually coming forward. What I had asked for was a review of the bylaw, particularly related to the hours that were in the bylaw for dogs and cats to be held at the city pound. In the previous edition of the bylaw, it was 72 hours held for the owner to reclaim, and then 24 hours to put up for adoption, and in that time animals could be destroyed. To our pound's credit, the number of animals actually destroyed at the pound is very minimal, almost to the point of almost none, as they work with animal rescue organizations and humane societies to exchange the animals and then be put up for adoption through them. So 3 days but the bylaw also didn't read that holiday hours were excluded, and that it seemed odd to me that there'd be 3 days to reclaim a lost animal, but not the same amount of time to have them put up for adoption. So basically the new amendments to this allow for that general holidays are excluded from the time periods, and that it's 72 hours to reclaim and 72 hours put up for adoption. And once that 72 hours expires, the pound will work with rescue organizations to perhaps place them there for further opportunity for adoption. Generally speaking, the amendments should make it more, have the ability to have more of these animals adopted in the end.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lupke, and for originally bringing it forward. And again, I know that our administration did work on this, notwithstanding the COVID delays, but I think we've come up with a pretty good, well-rounded solution to this. Now, the Chief of Police is also online virtually, and of course, animal control and bylaw enforcement does come under his jurisdiction, so I'm pretty sure the chief is available to answer questions. I'm not sure if he was planning on just speaking. You're certainly welcome to, Chief, but if you're just here to answer questions, that's fine as well. Just going to answer questions, Chief? Yeah, okay, so the Chief's available to answer questions if there are some. So I'll open up the floor right now to Council if there are any questions or comments about the changes proposed in this bylaw. Not seeing any. Again, I think it's much more progressive. As Councillor Lupke indicated, I think that generally this is the way it was kind of working. The pound operators, obviously if you're in the pound business, it's likely because you love animals, and so they were working as much as they could, but really they could have been really offending the bylaw if we didn't really modernize it, if you will. Also, we're fortunate we've got some animal rescue organizations in Brandon that are also very helpful, and as a result I think that very few animals are destroyed. I think we got quite a few pet and animal lovers on council, so not surprisingly we would want to advance such a bylaw. So if there are no further questions or discussion, I think we're ready for a question on second reading. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Third reading would be in order. Councillor Lupke.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the bylaw be read a third and final time.
And seconded by Councillor Cameron. Any further discussion? Again, third reading, a recorded vote would be required. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried unanimously. Again, thank you very much, Councillor Lupke, and thank you, Chief Balkin and your team, along with those, of course, that write bylaws, etc., and on kind of making this a more progressive, modern bylaw. So thank you very much, Chief. And on to the next item, please.
Bylaw number 7314, which is to close and convey a portion of 13th Street North located north of Stickney Avenue.
Councillor Desjarlais.
Thank you, through your worship. I move that bylaw number 7314 to close a portion of 13th Street North located north of Stickney Avenue and convey same to the City of Brandon to be consolidated with 1309 Stickney Avenue be read a second time.
Seconder, please. Councillor Lupke. Now, whoever wishes to speak, or I'm not sure whether administration, sure, Mr. Nicoll, if you were just going to answer questions if there were any in this, you didn't have any? Okay. I never like to cut off. Sometimes they come with PowerPoints and everything, and we go slamming right through it, and we've done all that work for nothing, so I'd like to check. And would the mover wish to speak?
Yeah, through your worship, very briefly, this is just an opportunity to consolidate some land for affordable housing. We're going to be closing off a portion of 13th Street. We have no intention of more infrastructure or more road work in this area. And we do need more land available for affordable housing. This does address part of our strategic planning with social partnerships. And this land will be readily available at no cost to for affordable housing development. So it makes a lot of sense and straightforward. But if Mr. Nicoll wants to, again, dive in deeper, it's more than welcome to.
Okay, I think you'll answer questions if some arise, but again, you've done a good job of summarizing that, Councillor Desjardins. Any questions or further discussion on the part of council? Not seeing any. I think we're ready for the question on second reading. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And third reading is in order, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, for your worship. I move that the bylaw be read a third and final time.
Seconded by Councillor Lupke again. Any further discussion? And third reading, recorded vote, please. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried unanimously as well. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Also under bylaws, your worship, bylaw number 7317, which is to close and convey the north-south lane located north of Maple Avenue and south of Parker Boulevard.
What side of the line is this on? Is it back to Councillor Desjardins? It's all you all night there, buddy.
Sorry, I closed this out early. Your worship, I move that bylaw number 7317 to close the north-south lane located north of Maple Avenue and south of Parker Boulevard and convey same to the City of Brandon be read a first time.
Seconder, please. Councillor Parker. And this is first reading, not normally debatable, so we will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Next item, please.
Giving of notice, your worship.
Any giving of notice this evening? Not seeing any. Next item, please.
A motion to adjourn would be in order.
Moved by Councillor Berry, seconded by Councillor Chaboyer. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much.